Hello, welcome to another day of Bhagavad Gita Sadhana. I am recording this on a day known in the United States of America as Black Friday, when consumers often put the power, the energy of their money to use, ideally finding the bestest of all deals in the whole world and then gifting those deals later to loved ones or themselves. The power of money. Money represents energy. It can represent power because those with the most money tend to use it to wield power. And we're talking today from the Bhagavad Gita. We've been talking a bit about how it's encapsulated in a much larger narrative. And I mentioned a couple days ago the idea that the Bhagavad Gita is about this huge struggle within ourselves. And as embodied beings, we really tend to focus on that struggle. Whereas most spiritual texts say, look, if you can just focus on the part of you that doesn't struggle, the part of your life where you don't struggle, then you'll perceive everything very differently. We could even say the part of your existence where you don't struggle, because life being embodied is seen as quite the struggle for as long as you wear a body. And then those struggles lessen, change, or go away when the body is dropped. So looking at some of the stories outside of the Gita and trying to relate it to this concept of Black Friday, is the idea that yoga practice, like money, or like any other accumulation of energy, can be used for good or bad. And unfortunately, we see that played out in the world, where there are right now so many stories of people who led yoga schools or still leading them and using the power they get from that to exploit or even abuse others. So in the sacred texts surrounding the Gita, it's made very clear that whatever you get from your practice or from your spiritual pursuits, from your life pursuits, you have a choice to use that for the betterment of yourself and others, or to use it for destruction. So we're going to tell a story. Yeah, I hear Maria going, yay. Thanks, Maria. About another existence or set of existences of Krishna and Arjun. I've mentioned before that Krishna and Arjun are also said to be the incarnations of a timeless pair of twins called Nara and Narayana. Narayana is a name for the supreme, whatever you want to call it, him, her, them. And Nara is a name for the human soul. And these two are said to be best friends through all eternity, and that they continuously find each other so that they can restore justice to the world. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, who's also called Narayan, says that he incarnates, he takes on a body whenever justice is threatened in this material plane. So a lot of stories I've told about them you've heard before. So here are a couple other ones. Oh my goodness, where did my brain go? That's fascinating. It said that Krishna governs remembrance and forgetfulness. Okay. Did I remember? Did I forget? Well, let's get to this story about power. It's said that there are 4 ages in our lives and in the life of the cosmos, which I've touched upon before. And that in not the golden age, but the one right after that, there was a king. And he wanted to become the supreme power in the universe, which many people would say Narayan or Vishnu is that supreme power. Others give it other names. But Vishnu is the epitome of good. So this king purposefully decided he was going to become the supreme being of the universe by pursuing the path of evil. And he did yoga practices specifically to gain power. It said for thousands and thousands of years, he did yoga practices and penances. And the sun god, being much pleased, appeared and gave this king 1,000 pieces of armor. One could almost say 1,000 layers of armor. I think that's a better description. And they were impenetrable. They made him invulnerable. And so this king could go out and do whatever he wanted to. he would be unmatched by men, by animals, by even the devas, the divine bright beings. So, of course, off he went to take over the universe. Um, but it's said that Nara and Narayan, who are immortal and eternal, took up this challenge. So, as always, when one gets a special gift, there's a caveat that goes along with it. There, a caveat for getting all this armor was you have 1,000 pieces of armor, but we can't just leave you totally invulnerable. Death comes to all beings. So, for your 1,000 layers of armor, to get one layer off, somebody will have to fight you continuously for 1,000 years, or do penance continuously for 1,000 years. And then that layer will drop off. But when that layer drops off, the person that helped cause it to drop off will die. And then you'll have to find somebody else to fight you for 1,000 years or to do penance. And this sounded really good to the king. It's like, now who could do that? So he ran amok, and Nara and Narayan took up this challenge from the goodness of their hearts. In fact, it's said that these twins were the sons of Dharma, which is justice, and Murti. And Murti, the word in Sanskrit, means to give a face or a form to. So they were actually incarnations, the faces, the forms of the abstract concept of justice. And so they took up this challenge. Even though they were best friends, they spent thousands of years apart, because one would sit in penance for 1,000 years. One would meditate for 1,000 years, or one would fight for 1,000 years against this being. And knowing full well that after every 1,000 years, they were going to lose the body, have to be reborn, and take up the fight again. They kept at it long enough that finally this being had only one layer of armor left. However, this was at the change of an age. And when ages change, from the golden age to the silver age, for example, the rules change. And so it was said that at the change, that these divine fighters had to take on different forms. So Nara Narayana became Krishna and Arjun, and the evil king who had one last layer of armor left became known as Karna, who, if you remember any stories of the Mahabharata, was born with golden impenetrable armor. And later he was finally tricked into giving up that armor by Krishna and Arjun, and they did destroy him for all time. Whew, that's a long story. And I included this as stories for our life because the idea that things take time, and ultimately, whatever you're working for, whatever kind of power you want in your life, self-control, control of others, control of money, you will have to make the choice. Are you doing it for good, or are you doing it for evil? It's always a choice. And I hope that whatever I might gain from this goes to the greater good. You have your own choice to make, and it's your choice. Pick whatever, but know that you are picking. One of the worst things we can do with our lives and our existence is to do things, but do them unconsciously without noticing our motivation. So as I go out today in the coldest day of the season, it is, let me see, I wrote this down. It's currently 28 degrees Fahrenheit or -2 Celsius, but it feels like 1 Fahrenheit or -17 degrees C. Ooh. I'm going to be using my powers that I've gained from this to stay warm and hopefully benefit my body, not torture it. What are you going to do with anything you gained from today's practice? By the way, the cat is so smart. He is nowhere near this because it's too flippin' cold. He's in bed on a blanket. His power. All right, let's balance and meditate. right, it's time for our 5 minutes. Remember, I have to keep the tech inside because it's way too cold for the tech. The tech would be dead. I invite you to contemplate really as you do this or any pursuit. Why? What's your motivation? Is it for good, evil, whatever else you might label it, selfishness, selflessness? What's your motivation? See you in 5. Welcome back. Woo. The wind is tremendous today. I was outside with the intention of doing that practice to support and to support my body, all the little beings that make up my body, the cells, the bacteria, the mitochondria, and to keep them from suffering. And it worked. Could use this for let's suffer and show other people how much I can suffer. And we can use our practice for that. We can use our life for that. We can use it for something different. What's your motivation? I always love to hear from you. And I'm motivated to come back tomorrow. We're supposed to have some winter weather. We'll see. So hopefully the power will stay on so that we can continue to empower each other. Until next time.